So, I just bought this loader. We'll go over it real quick. I don't know if this camera's going to work okay. It's kind of a cheap Amazon action camera, and the microphone kind of seems to suck. But anyway, this is a 1979 John Deere 444. If you look at the back, you see those attachment points. It's got a hoe that goes in the back, which is kind of slick. I'll show you that in a minute. Anyway, I bought this thing for pretty cheap, broken, this weekend actually, this past weekend, and it didn't move. So it ran pretty good. Smoked a little, obviously. It's been sitting for a long time. So, but it's just got a naturally aspirated straight 6 in it. Everything looks okay. It's got a GM alternator on it for a 12 volt system. That's good. So anyway, I paid $3,500 for this thing, and it was about 2.5 hours away. We went and took that yesterday or 2 days ago. Yeah, in the morning, and got it. Everything's in pretty good shape. Cab's got some rust, and there's like held together by foam. But other than that, it's not bad. Everything's pretty tight. Front tires are in good shape. Back tires are pretty pissed out. But, so bought it, and the whole interior is out. I just put the seat in it yesterday to tinker with it. And anyway, the guys before me, they put new batteries in it. They're out now because I'm just getting ready for winter. But they put a bunch of new hoses in it. That one's new. That one's new. These are all for the braking system, pretty much, for this thing. They were all really leaking, they said. So long story short, a estate sale this thing got sold at, and this equipment company bought it. And obviously they probably didn't know it didn't work, so they got it running, put new batteries in it, put a bunch of new hoses on it, got it running, and it wouldn't move. So they tinkered with it a little bit, checking for D-clutch linkage and stuff like that, and they couldn't figure it out. So they called a mechanic that works on John Deere stuff to come look at it, and he said the clutch packs and the trans were bad, which they thought was what's wrong with it, right? So anyway, so they put it up for sale for $5,000 or $5,500, and I saw it. I didn't think anything of it because I got another one lined up in the spring here to buy a Cat 910. But anyway, so then my buddy sent it to me, and I was like, I already saw it, but I'm gonna message these guys. So I call them and finally get the guy who's selling it, and I talk to him, and first thing he says is $4,000, come get it. So I'm like, okay. So I go look at it, take a trip down there in the car, and go look at it, run it. It won't move. It looks pretty decent. So I offered him $3,500, and he said, yep, pretty quick. So I was a little disappointed in myself, but anyway, so I debated. I called a bunch of buddies that used to own these older machines and ran them, and they said they're good machines. I did a lot of research on the transmission, realized that I don't think the clutch packs were bad. I think they were fine because this thing has a power shift transmission. It's an Allison trans in it, so it's got reverse, neutral, low, and high. And low and high are both doing the same thing as was reverse. So the clutch packs were bad. They had to be bad in both low and high, and I didn't think that was the case. So anyway, looking for parts for these transmissions are kind of interesting. Anyway, I figured worst case scenario would be a torque converter in this trans. I was scared because they're hard to find parts for and pretty complicated. So anyway, I got talked into buying it, and I'm thankful I did. So I bought it, went down there, and brought it home. I'll show some pictures on the trailer there. It weighs about almost 20,000 pounds, so it's pretty heavy for me. I'm not used to hauling. Well, I'm used to hauling stuff, but this is pretty big. Anyway, go over the machine a little bit. It says it has 4,000 hours ish, but that doesn't work, so who knows how much is on it. Let's climb up in there. So you can see there's the reverse, neutral, low, and high, and it's just this lever right here. I wonder if it'll steer. Oh no, cumulative. Parking brake. Put your brake and gas down there, or throttle. And this little guy right here is for the D-clutch. That's for the D-clutch to work when you hit that left pedal, and that's sort of just to be a brake. Which I like the D-clutch usually. With this thing being older, it's kind of finicky. Anyway, that's for the bucket. It's got a single stick for the bucket. Other than that, all the glass is pretty decent. Cab's okay, other than the rust. which I can fix. But I got all the panels for it in here. I got the floorboards. They were already out because they were working on it. So wait till you figure out. What did I tell you what was wrong with this thing, actually? I got it moving just in case you're curious. So anyway, it's in decent shape. Everything's good. The bucket's in decent shape. The cutting edge needs to be replaced, or I'll put a cutting edge on it. But it's got pretty cool. For being an older loader, it's got a return to dig solenoid in there for the valve bank, so that's kind of neat. So it'll actually return the bucket to flat, so you're not guessing. It's about a 1.5 yard bucket in here. Lights kind of work on it. Got some steering cylinders that leak a little bit in here. So obviously I'm done messing with it this year. It's getting cold out. It's supposed to get a foot of snow tomorrow, so it's parked. I just so I bought this thing, got it home, tinkered with it, called some buddies who know what they're doing with these older stuff, and they came and looked at it, and it was doing some really weird stuff. It would move if you held it wide open, which I didn't like doing, but it would slowly move, and every once in a while it would move pretty good. And every time you shut it off, this breather right in there, it's a little cap, would hiss out air for quite a while after it was shut off, which I thought was really weird. And so first thing, we're messing with it, and an equipment dealer owned this thing, so I figured they would have checked the basic stuff. Anyway, I checked the fluid on it. So this machine, you need to check the fluid hot and running. Well, I couldn't get the trans hot because I couldn't move it. So I checked the fluid. It's low, and it's very aerated on the bottom. You can see it on the stick, just very, very foamy looking. So this right here is the trans filter, and they replaced that too. So I pulled that cover off and looked down there, and the fluid is just foam, just full of air, like it's aerating in there. So, we thought maybe a seal and torque converter was bad and it was pushing air or fluid into the trans case. I don't know. So anyway, so I'm like, it's low. And I've heard of the pickup tubes cracking in the trans, but the charge pump had good pressure, so I didn't think that was a problem. But I was like, I'm going to put some fluid in it and just overfill it maybe, see if it works. So this takes high guard, which finding it locally on a Sunday or whatever when we were working on it was tough. Anyway, I found some, and I ended up putting 4.5 gallons in it, and it works great. It was 4.5 gallons low on fluid, and it moves great. It works great. We were pushing trees over yesterday with it, and doing some digging with it. And so, yeah, check the simple things first. So I got a pretty good deal on this thing. It was very low in the trans. The hydraulic reservoir for the loader, which is next to the seat up there, is the hydraulic reservoir for just the loader. That was like, I put 5 gallons in there. Still not full, but next year I'm going to change all the fluids anyway. Just to change all the diff fluids and get all that stuff good. So anyway, so yesterday, I changed the coolant on it because the coolant looked it was low and it was dirty. So I cleaned the radiator, changed that for the winter because I don't want it to freeze. We changed the oil. If you're ever working on one of these, oil filter's right there, oil fills right there, dipstick's right there. And if you look, I don't know if you can see, there's a hose down there. It comes out the side. That's your oil drain. So I changed the oil yesterday because it was dirty as can be for the winter, so I can run it. Because I wanted to run it yesterday for a little while because I wasn't sure it was fixed. I was kind of impressed that it got fixed just by adding fluid. So anyway, so this hydraulic pump on the back is for your brakes, your steering, and for the backhoe. These are the quick connects for. There's some shoved up in there. And they rerouted the exhaust down the bottom instead of at the top. So when you're on the backhoe, it's not screaming in your ear. This is the throttle level, which is frozen, but it's so when you're in the backhoe unit, you can adjust the throttle of the machine. So yeah, so next year I'll be working on this thing in the spring. I don't know if this will work well or not, but if it does, I can show some working on it. We tinker with it quite a bit already, but let's take you for a walk to look at the hoe. That's up here. I'll look at something real quick. This is the hoe. It's a 9025. I don't remember. Something like that. 9052. I don't remember. But it's a normal hoe off of a backhoe, pretty much. It's in good shape. We hooked it up yesterday, and it blew this seal out right there for the filter housing. So we just moved it over here, and here it sits for the winter. But I don't really have a use for it since I have a mini excavator, but the price is right and it makes it worth a little more. So there's another project. Hold a case 310. I got another case 310 up there and a John Deere 450 dozer. That's also a project. But if you guys like these videos, let me know. I can make more. Obviously got projects, and I got a skid steer in there and a mini X is in there. And the skid steer I did the whole motor on. I could do a video on that too. But dump truck was pretty good. Nothing crazy. So let me know, guys.